have red delta and we have blue delta. So quite self-explanatory. At the start of the video, I suggest people rewind back. You had negative delta and positive delta, right? So the positive delta represents more aggressive buying, and the negative delta represents more aggressive selling. So when we see lots of positive delta at this supply zone, what does that indicate, right? So we see price aggressively buying into this zone, right? So we see aggressive buyers over here. So this is through the positive delta, right? So the positive delta shows aggressive buying. I'll just write AGG for short, right? This is aggressive buying. Now, when we see aggressive buying at a supply zone, right, what we want to see is, are these aggressive buyers being rewarded? So at the moment, we had this large drop down, we had this large rally down, right? So when we bring up the footprint chart's actually indicating that there is a lot of aggressive buyers, right, in this region. There's a lot of aggressive buyers over here which are not being rewarded, right? Those aggressive buyers are not being rewarded, and price eventually heads down. You need to understand this as well. When we're looking at order flow, you want to be reading the individual numbers, right? Look, we have 35 for 106. So what that's telling you is that we have 35 market participants hitting the bid, and we have 106 market participants hitting the ask, right? So we have a lot more aggressive buying and selling in this region, and we can see that through the blue delta. The blue delta indicates aggressive buying. We see a lot of aggressive buying at this zone, right? Notice how from here we have a 0 and a 5. So we have a 0 at the top, and we also have a 0 and a 7. So when we see a 0 on one side of the transaction, so we see 0 market participants hitting the bid, which means that there are no aggressive sellers. So when there's no aggressive sellers and we see price eventually move down over here, so we see a move down in price. Now that move down corresponds to this move down over here. This gives us indication that our supply zone may actually hold. Supply zone may be in control. Supply may be in control. The sellers may be in control. And that shows us that we could be looking for potential short trades, which is how this trade panned out. So we're seeing a positive delta, and we're seeing aggressive buying that's currently not being rewarded, right? Not rewarded, right? So this shows you that supply is currently strong. So in a technical terminology, it shows us that there is passive sellers sitting there, right? There's passive sellers sitting there. So when we have lots of aggressive buying and it's not being rewarded, what we need to understand is that there's passive sellers sitting here in this zone. And this is what